get any feedback. And we will now stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll turn this meeting over to our wonderful president, LaShane Goins.
Sir, thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone here tonight. Hello to everyone that's on Zoom. Good to see you guys. Our club mission is that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Our values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. I am excited about this meeting tonight and everything that we have going. We do have a visitor. We're excited about our visitor. Let's give her a hand. If you don't mind this time, we would like for you to state your name and just tell us why you're here with us.
Oh, my name is Palmer, and I'm here because.
If you don't mind standing, you can even come to the, for others to see who you are. You can.
My name is Haley Palmer, and I'm here because he brought me here.
Thank you so very much for being here. And if you don't mind, at the end of our meeting, if you could just give us some feedback on how the meeting went, we will be greatly open to receiving that feedback.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so as far as our announcements, we do have this Saturday competition. Humor competition. Participating in that will be Randy Riddle, as well as Bearcat, there he is, Bearcat Tocha, and this will be via Zoom, so it will be online. And we also, I will be participating in the international speech by default. Maybe next year more people will participate.
What language are you gonna be in?
I might just bring out the Gullah. We will see. That would be interesting. Okay, so moving forward tonight, it looks like we have a speech evaluator that Paul Camp's not here. Has anybody heard from Mr. Camp? No, so he is not going to be a part. Is there anyone? Let's see.
I'll do it.
You'll do it, or I could give up speaking tonight.
No, I'll do it.
Almost. So, okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lee Holiday. He will be taking over as speech evaluator number 3. Okay, if there are no further announcements, we will move on with our meeting. I'm excited to introduce to none, but present to all one of our great Toastmaster members. She will be Toastmaster of the day. We're excited to hear what she has for us today. Cheryl Ledford, take it away.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be able to see each and every one of you. I would love to have been there in person, but as I mentioned to Lee, I still have a little bit of residual effects from having COVID. My husband and I were able to dodge that bullet for 2 years, and we were boosted and everything, and then it caught us. So just for your safety, I'm staying home. So the theme for tonight, I was thinking about different things that were coming up, special days, international themes, and I thought about, I see the light. It's only 6 more days, everyone, before we meet again, before our next Toastmasters meeting, one of the most important days of the year that we have all been looking forward to. Daylight savings time. We spring ahead. We are going to see light. Alex, you look confused. And so, so we're, I don't know about you, but I know I am looking forward to daylight savings time. And so I did a little bit of research, and I found out that actually daylight savings time was started, the first person that thought about it was Benjamin Franklin, but then it was not instituted for several years after that. But according to my research, I found out some of the benefits of changing our clocks back. One of them is it reduces energy consumption for environmental reasons. We have longer evenings to support leisure and tourism. It encourages people to exercise more outdoors. Right? And it also reduces road accidents. So for those of us that are coming home in the dark, having it light a little bit longer can reduce accidents. So I got to just thinking about, sometimes when we're feeling down, we feel like, we might tell people like, I just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then that, again, made me think about daylight savings time. We will have more time, daylight time. We will have more sunshine. It makes us feel better. So throughout the evening, I'll just be telling you a little bit more about light and different types of light that we have. So as I move forward this evening, we have great speakers. I am just thrilled that we have such a great lineup tonight. And I will go ahead and introduce the general evaluator for tonight. And that person is Mr. Barakat Tolcha. And the general evaluator will go ahead and introduce his team. So again, I will turn control over to you, Barakat.
Thank you, Sharon. Today we have wonderful team of evaluators, and we're going to start from our word master, who will be, and also our grammarian, Bernie Holiday. Bernie, please tell us your role.
Thank you, Barakat. Today, our word of the day is quotidian. Quotidian is found in the ordinary course of events. It is the antonym of extraordinary. I will be looking for use of the word of the day during our speeches, and I will also be counting your ers, us, and as we go along today. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Bernie. Next is our timer. Our timer for today is Alex. Right. Alex, could you tell us your role for today?
Absolutely, Bearcat. Hi, friends. Good to see you guys. So today I am, of course, very experienced with the stopwatch, as you guys know. So I'm going to be timing our planned speeches, our evaluators, and our table topics. So the rules are as follows. Basically, we have 2 out of our 3 speakers that are speaking 5 to 7 minutes. So when you hit the 5-minute mark, which is qualifying, you're going to see this green, which means your green is good to go. You've qualified on time. You're going to then see yellow at the 6-minute mark. It's kind of a warning that you're getting close to time, which then you'll see red at 7 minutes. And then for John, I noticed that it's 2 times 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll show this at either the 2-minute mark of his first 2 minutes or at the 4-minute mark cumulatively, this at the 2.5, and then this at 3. For table topics, you'll see the green qualification at 1 minute. You'll see yellow at minute 30. You'll see red at 2 minutes. For evaluators, we are looking at green at 2 minutes, yellow at 2:30, read at 3 minutes. And of course, you get a 30-second grace period at the end there. And yeah, that's really my job in a nutshell. Back to you, Bearcat. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And finally, our vote counter. Our vote counter for tonight is Greg. Greg, would you tell us your role for tonight? Sorry, I can't hear you. Is it just me?
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, so tonight I am the vote counter. I will be tallying the votes for best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluators. I'll remind each of you that every vote counts, so be sure to vote. You guys on Zoom will see that I am on Zoom as well, so please message me in chat your preferences for best speaker and etc. Back to you, Bearcat. Thank you.
And we also have 3 wonderful evaluators for our speeches. I will introduce them after our speech. And at the end of the meeting, I will provide my evaluation for the overall meeting. At this time, I will return the control to our Toastmaster of the day. Cheryl, take it away.
Thank you again so much, Bearcat. We, as I mentioned before, we have 3 fabulous speakers this evening. So let's just jump right into them. Our first speaker is Mr. Daniel Allison, and Daniel is doing the second 5 to 7 minute speech of the Evaluation and Feedback Project from Level 1 in the Presentation Mastery Path. Daniel Allison is the average dude and is working on his first keynote speech scheduled for August of this year. His speech title is I Am the Average Dude, but this speech is all about you. Please help me welcome Mr. Daniel Allison.
Toastmasters. This is where it all began for me, Lee. My personal growth journey started in a Toastmasters club. It's great to be back. I learned a lot while I was here. One of the most important things that I learned, Greg, was it is important to connect with the audience. Because the speech isn't about me. It's not about what I've been doing, but it's about you and what you have inside of you, the skills that are very apparent to those that are looking, that thing inside of you that helps you walk down the path that you're supposed to walk. There's only one you, and there's only one path for you to walk down. So we're going to get back to you, but first I need to tell you a little bit about my story and how I came to be the average dude. So the average dude started out as Daniel Allison. And when he was in the 5th grade, he was the fastest kid in the school, fast runner. And this particular year, all the kids were talking about, we're sure to win. We've got Daniel in our class. So I towed the line and I looked at my competitors to my left and right, and there was a new kid down there. Kid I'd never seen before, had no idea how fast or slow he was. Teachers and friends are along the side. You remember, chalk lines, we're ready to race. The PE teacher has a whistle at the ready. We're towing the line. She blows that whistle and we're off. And I learned something about the new kid. Very fast, faster than me. And I knew it right away. So what was I going to do, Bernie? Was I going to finish the race, give it my all, and have let down my friends? The very thing that I hung my hat on? Was I going to finish strong? Or was I going to fake an injury, trip over a rock and fall on purpose? Didn't have the self-esteem to finish that race. Couldn't take it. So I sold it. I tripped and I rolled and I flipped. Dirt and grass went everywhere. And all the kids ran out and they wanted to know, hey, are you okay? I had cuts and things. And this is the kicker. I heard the kids say, hey, well, Daniel's always fast at the end. I'm sure if he didn't fall, he would have come back and won. So I got the validation and didn't get the result. I didn't get the fulfillment because I knew I didn't give everything I had. I had created a situation where it looked like I was just as fast. So I went home with a blue ribbon that day. Didn't have to face the pain of failing. And guess what? We learn things at an early age. And I learned that maybe it's good to have a scapegoat. Maybe it's good to have a crutch. Maybe it's good to have an excuse so that you can hide away, not try your best, and not get the results. Basically, chasing the validation over actually bringing value. So I had to do something about that. No fulfillment. Very selfish way to live. So I started looking at the reality of the situation. Who was I really? What skills did I have? What accomplishments, for that matter, did I have? And I kept coming up with smaller and smaller numbers. And I said, you know what I am? I'm the average dude. I am the average dude. And it's going to take everything that I've got to do anything, to be of any value, to run the race that I'm supposed to run. Right? So these are two things that I've learned that I wanted to share with y'all. The first thing is getting comfortable in our own skin. That's not an easy thing to do. Have you heard the saying that it's hard to read the label from inside the bottle? We need somebody to help us, to give us perspective on ourselves. If we can't do it ourselves, maybe it's a third party. Maybe we're taking notes or journaling. I love to journal. You can write anything on that journal. But it's those unique things, those things that we're insecure about that actually separate us from everyone else, right? It's that authentic self that is going to be your key. That's what we all have to find. So the first thing, find that for yourself. Find what makes you different, not what fits in. That's a very competitive area. Find what separates you. And then once you're comfortable, what are we going to do? We're going to get uncomfortable. We're going to look for situations that help us grow. Look where we are right now. We're in Toastmasters. Was it easy is it ever easy getting up here? Was it easy for me doing the timer? I mean, I had my hands full, but that I knew that I was in the right place because why? I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do with myself. But that's the great thing about Toastmasters. So then we're going to repeat it. So we get comfortable in our skin. Then we take action that's uncomfortable, and then we get used to that. And if you're feeling comfortable in here, I would challenge you to go a little farther with your, maybe it's walking around more, maybe it's raising your voice, maybe it's just trying something new, because it's this repetition of comfortable, uncomfortable, comfortable, uncomfortable. Like we're building our muscles, right? Break them down, build them up. Again, there's only one you. There's only one me. There's only one, the average dude. And we've got to do everything that we can do to walk that path that we can walk. Have you ever seen when you're tracking somebody and the runner before, you might see the pace that he was running? There is a line of decisions that all of us have. And if we follow that line of decisions and do the things that maximizes your potential, you will be that guy. That's what we're after, right? Make the decision today to get comfortable in your own skin and challenge yourself to get uncomfortable again. Repeat the process and become your best self. Lady Toastmaster.
Wonderful job, Daniel. Thank you so much for inspiring us, and it's great storytelling. Mr. Timer, if I could please have a minute on the clock so that we can write our comments for Daniel. And I'm not sure who we should send them to for those of us that are on Zoom. Is there someone that would like to take the comments and then give them to Daniel?
Either send him a text message to his phone or send him an email message to his email.
Yeah,
with your comment.
That'd be cool.
Okay. I'm not sure if I have his email or his
His information's all member information.
okay, okay.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, thank you very much. I understand that a minute is up. So hopefully you have written your comments for Daniel. Our next speaker is the one and only Lashane Goins. And Lashane has been a member of Spartanburg Toastmasters since June 2019. She has grown in many capacities and has accomplished many goals, including being our current president. However, there's one goal that is most important to her, and she will ensure that it is accomplished. The title of her speech is Being President, or I apologize, Being Present. So I now will turn control over to Lashane with her speech, Being Present.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, December 2010 was a great month for me, and the following month, an even greater month. I was working at the high school as a high school teacher. You all know my love for children. I was about to have my first child. I went to the doctor and I was not feeling well on this day. My throat was hurting, but I was chugging along. I knew I was going to be out for at least 6 weeks, and I wanted my class to continuously run smoothly. Then the doctor said, "You have strep throat." Strep throat? No, I've got to go to work tomorrow. She said, "You have to stay home for at least 48 hours. Okay. So I took my medicine and eventually I went back to work. Following week, I went to the doctor again. She said, "Your blood pressure is high. You have some things going on." What do you mean? She said, "Well, we have to run some tests. These tests are this test." It comprised of me collecting a sample. And if you know what that is, and they said, "You need to keep it cool." And I'm like, what are you talking about? How am I going to keep this cool at school? School? You're not going to work. You're out of work. No, I've got to go to work. My kids, they need me. And here I am trying to hold off to have this baby, not realizing how sick I really was. I stayed on bed rest a couple of weeks. And then in January, I stayed in the hospital for about a week. Then they sent me home. It snowed. If you remember in 2011, it snowed so hard until the snow was maybe 10 to 12 inches off the ground. So I was still at home collecting this sample of this. I just can't even think about it. And then they told me, well, I needed to come on in. There was snow on the ground. It was fresh. People weren't even on the road yet. But my husband and I, we got up and we did what the doctor said. We went to Spartanburg Regional. Voila, we're here. And it seemed like we were the only ones there. What? So they sent us home. In the snow, we got stuck in the snow. Finally, we got out. I had to go and I had to start driving. My husband, he was trying to push the car on a hill out the snow. Okay, we're gonna make this work. Got home. Doctor called and I said, doctor, guess what? I am in the bed, I'm not moving. She said, good, but now we need you to go to the hospital because you have to have this baby tonight. What do? We drove back in the snow and got to the hospital. And on January 11th, 2011, at 11:30, I had a beautiful baby boy. He was precious. The love of my life. I'll never forget when I first saw him, I said, this is an ugly baby. What's wrong with him? But the next day, when they brought him back to me, he was the most gorgeous baby ever. I loved that boy. And to this day, I love that boy. But all throughout, I continue to love children, love taking care of children. I was a foster parent, worked at the group home, worked as a special ed teacher, those wonderful things, yada, yada, yada. But what I did not realize is how much attention I was taking away from that precious boy to put into other kids. I'm not saying that that was wrong by far. But what I learned is that no matter the situation, no matter where kids come from, it is so imperative as parents that we are always present. And that's what I've learned about my own kid. He's a weird kid. He's just one of those weird kids that, when he goes into a crowd of people, he just stands out. But kids can be mean. And what I realized is that he was being bullied. As a parent, it hurts to know that your child, who you love, who you raised, who you just remember as that darling little ugly baby that is hurting. And there's nothing you can do about it. But I told him, I said, son, you are somebody. Son, yes, you are different. God has created you to be different. And it's okay to not be like the crowd. It's okay to stand out. Because guess what? There is something great for you in life. There is a call that's greater than what you can handle. And as soon as I told him that, it's like something just changed immediately. And I said, the one thing that I will do as a parent, I will be present in my child's life. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wonderful speech, LaShane. As always, you've inspired us and just told us wonderful stories. So again, if we could please have a minute on the clock Alex. And if you, again, could just take a few minutes and either write your comments to LaShane and give them to the vote counter. Or if you're on Zoom, you can text or email LaShane your comments. Okay, thank you, Alex. Moving forward, our next speaker is Mr. John Abercrombie. John is doing something very creative and unique, something that I've never seen at a Toastmasters meeting. John will deliver two 2 to 3 minute speeches. Lee Holiday will select a topic from the impromptu speech topics resource. Then John's speech must last 2 to 3 minutes. Oops, sorry, trying to read this. His speech must last 2 to 3 minutes and include at least one anecdote that is related to the topic. When the first speech is complete, he will give a second 2 to 3 minute speech on a new topic provided by Lee. Both topics should be selected at random and without your prior knowledge. So John Abercrombie does not know what the topic is, and Lee will be giving him the topic. So this is something new, and I look forward to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over. Control, go ahead and give the control to Mr. John Abercrombie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmistress, or Toastmaster. I remember back in the day when they used to be Toastmistresses. There were separate clubs for the men and the women. But most of you are fortunately not as old as I am. I guess Lee will give me a topic and I'll talk on it. But I am old enough to remember when Columbus came to our shores. There to meet him.
John,
Yes.
your first topic is, what can the rich do better to understand the poor?
Thank you, sir. What could the rich do better to understand the poor? Now I'm up here trying to figure out the number for poison control. Why poison control? Because they were talking about antidotes. That's what you do when you get poisoning. But this is a change of events. When we speak, we often are caught off guard, not by the prepared part of the speech, but by things that happen impromptu. In this particular case, there is a vast disconnect between the rich and the poor because it's impossible to experience it, because you can experience small slices of it. You can experience 15 minutes. You can experience half hour. You may even experience a day. But you don't understand until you walked a mile in the moccasins of the people that you're trying to understand. This is what makes racism so uncomfortable for people, because they cannot understand what it's like. The other night when I drove home and an officer got behind me. Now understand, I've got 28 years of law enforcement experience, but I have seen cases where officers come up and what they do is escalate depending upon who is in the car. So we have a situation where in order to understand, you must put yourself in that position and stay there long enough until you can get the experience. Sometimes it's not very pleasant. Sometimes it is extremely difficult. So in order to understand that, we need to take our shoes off, put somebody else's shoes on, and emulate them for an extended period of time until we can understand what it's like to walk in those shoes. Madam Toastmaster. John, your
From my
second-
under, okay, I apologize. I said, from my understanding, you'll have another question by Lee. Go ahead, Lee.
Yes. My biggest concern for the future. Mine or yours?
That's the first part of the sentence.
Ah. Thank you, sir. The future holds what we imagine it to be. The future we can prognosticate on, we can fantasize about, but along the way, just as we have in life, bumps appear. Life is not a straight path, but the person that perseveres and goes through and navigates this course and is able to get back on course and move towards the future has the brightest future. So the question that comes up is, what is in my future? Well, when I came here, my future was I had a tuna steak that I am going to prepare tonight after the meeting. I didn't know that I would be up before a group of people talking about the future. The future is beyond us, behind us, ahead of us. I remember watching Dick Tracy talk on a two-way wrist radio and said, that'll never happen. We've got Apple Watches now. We've got all sorts of things. The imagination is what creates our future. It is not because we dream. It is because we don't dream big enough. We doubt ourselves. That hinders the future. That hinders what is possible. We were not placed on this earth to fail. But unless we have the courage to dream big, and make it possible, the future is going to be nothing. It's what we're mired in right now. It's kind of like being in a pig barn and we're up to our, I guess it's our waist in whatever is left there. But we can get out of it. We can clean up the future. We can make it bright. But we have to be willing to make the changes that only people of courage can do. And I know this room is full of them. This is why I come here to be recharged every week. Madam Toastmasters, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, John. What a pleasure, and what a great speech and opportunity. If we could please have, well, first we'll put a minute on the timer so that everyone can write their comments for John. So you can either text them to him, email them, or if you're there in person, write them on the piece of paper. So if you could just take a minute and do that, please. Okay, thank you very much, Alex. He's given the thumbs up that our time is over. Could we please have a timer's report for the speeches?
Yes, ma'am. So Mr. Daniel Allison spoke for 6 minutes and 51 seconds. LaShane spoke for 7 minutes and 34 seconds. And then Mr. John Abercrombie, what I did is 2 speeches. His first was 3 minutes and 7 seconds, and his second was 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Alex. So at this point, good, thank you, Alex. If you want to know the times, he has sent that in the chat. If we could all please vote for our best speaker, and please send your vote to Mr. Greg Allen. He is our vote counter. So those of you that are there, do it in person. And for those of us that are virtual, please send a chat to Greg Allen for the best speaker. And while you're doing that, I'm going to hand over control to Mr. Lee Holiday. Again, we have another creative situation with the table topics. And this evening, Lee is completing the project, excuse me, on active listening. At the club meeting, he will be leading the table topic session. And what he's listening for a well-run table topic session. And as the topic master makes short, affirming statements after each speaker completes an impromptu speech, indicating that he or she heard or understood each speaker. He will also, the goal is for Lee to clearly show that he or she listens and can use active listening skills discussed in the project, and to follow all established protocols for a table topic session. So I will turn control over to Mr. Lee Holiday.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our great guest back tonight, Haley, thank you for being here. Table topics. Well, we've already had a dose of table topics with John's speech project tonight, haven't we? But now we get to do it for some unknown suspects. In table topics, we are given a topic and you have 1 to 2 minutes to give your response with a 30-second grace period. You'll watch the timer. The light will come on at green at 1, the yellow light at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the red light at 2 minutes. And once again, a 30-second grace period after that. So you want to speak for at least until you see the green light come on, right? If you're in the room, I'll ask you to come up here to respond. If you're in Zoom, I'll ask you to come up. No, you can stay on Zoom and do it. Our Toastmaster of the day came up with this I see the light meeting thing. And from her introductory comments, I gathered that she came up with that because of this thing they call daylight savings time beginning again Saturday night, Sunday morning. Daylight savings time. Pshaw. Who ever heard of such a thing? Just where do you save this daylight and keep it for later use? Mr. Craig Allen.
Where do I save it for future use? I don't think that's possible. I'm on the school of thought that daylight savings time is a complete waste of time. I could care less when the sun sets, when it comes up. My day's the same every day. So I don't really know that I can bank any daylight. if I could, I guess I would save it until the fall when they make us fall back again. Because I guess it would be nice to have more daylight in the fall and in the wintertime. So if it were possible to save it, that would be an option. I guess a second option might be to give it away. I know some people love daylight savings time. My wife, for one, she is chomping at the bits for daylight savings to change in a couple of weeks. She loves that it's daylight until 9 o'clock at night. If it would stay daylight till midnight, she would probably like that too. So I guess that would be a second option. It's just to bank my time and give it all to Charlene, because I know she would enjoy that. Mr. Tabletop Toastmaster, thank you.
Greg, I'm with you. This daylight saving time thing is a complete waste of effort. And we all have to go in and change our clocks twice a year to continue this futile attempt to save daylight. There is no place you can save daylight and use it, but you've saved it somewhere else. It just isn't. Pshaw. Now, Haley, I know you're a guest, but you've been in Toastmaster meetings before, right? So if I were to happen to call on you, would you be willing to come up here and give us an answer? Is that a yes?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, no pressure. No pressure. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure you knew you had the chance if you wanted to, okay? That's good. I see the light. Sometimes I see the light slipping between my curtains in the mornings when I'm waking up, and sometimes I don't. If I'm hard fast asleep, it's so great to wake up and realize that the light from outside did not wake me up. But when that light wakes me up, I'm awake. It's done. There is no more sleeping. So in this time of daylight savings time, does that mean you get to sleep longer in the morning, Bernie?
Do I get to sleep longer in the morning? You know, since I became a self-made entrepreneur, I have taken many liberty to stay in bed until way too late. 10:30, 11 o'clock, noon, whatever. It's all fine. Money will come anyways, right? No, it won't. In my opinion, I'm with both Lee and Greg. Daylight savings time is just throws the dice at time again and makes everything change up. But when the actual change happens, guess what? I'm asleep. I don't really notice it. It's not really something that applies to me and the general way things go. When it's time to get up, it's time to get up. And that's one thing that I am really banking on in the future, making sure that I get up, get going, so that I'm not sitting out just waiting for things to happen to me. It's the morning, it's time to move, it's time to do what we need to do. Here's your table topics, Master.
I can tell you that Bernie wasn't always fond of mornings. You can just take my word for that.
I'm still not.
Not always fond of mornings. But you know, he had to do what he had to do. And now he's figured out he has to do what he has to do. So it's a lesson he learned in life, right? So I'm glad you're capturing that lesson, Bernie, even from your youth to your adulthood. That's great. So once again, this daylight savings time debacle changes the number of hours that are allocated to one day in the spring and one day in the fall, but you never can figure out which day it is. Is it the day that you've just had that day and they're going to move the clocks ahead an hour or back an hour, and so you stay up later to do something at night, or you get up earlier the next day because they've moved the clock or something, whatever. So given the fact that something has changed once in the spring and once in the fall, what do you do with that extra hour you have in that day, whichever day you consider to be lengthened by an hour because they move the clocks around, monkeying with Mother Nature? Who do they think they are? I digress. What do you do with that extra hour? What do you do with that extra hour? Ms. Cheryl Ledford.
Thank you very much, Lee, for that question. Now, I'm going to take the other side of the road here. I am personally totally looking forward to daylight saving time because I like to be outside. I like to go for walks. I like to go bike riding. My husband and I are looking forward to going to downtown Greenville in just a few weeks. They're going to be starting Music on Main. So with it being lighter, longer, then I can go out into downtown Greenville on Friday nights, see some of my old friends that I used to hang out with. If it's dark, I'm not going to be able to find them. So with it being light, I'm going to be able to find my friends if I get there in time, listen to the band, and that's how I'm going to use that extra time. I also have a honey-do list, which now, see, it gets dark at 5:30 or 6, so I can't really tell Tim like the grass needs cut, or boy, the weeds in the flower beds are really getting high there. But now I can start tackling that list and just kind of give these subtle hints so that I can give him a to-do list. But however, I do love daylight savings time because I like be able to come home from work, have that extra daylight time and not feeling like I want to put my pajamas on at 6 o'clock. So that's what I will be doing with my extra time, and I will turn it back over to Lee.
Cheryl, we're just going to have to work on you and convert you over to the notion that it makes complete idiocy to have to change your clock twice a year because some bureaucrat decided that's what needed to be done. We need to live life naturally. Just live according to the circadian rhythms of the sun. Let it just guide you. And you can have those late hours in the day that just come an hour earlier, as much as you want, without messing with my clock. One more question, my friends, in this diatribe against daylight savings time. It goes against the whole quotidian of things. It is so unnatural, it's so twisted. Excuse me, I digress again. I'm going to ask this question. If I needed you to help me circulate a petition around the world, because it's not just the United States, but we need to gather petition from around the world to stop this idiocy, tell me how you could help me do that. Alex DAHLSTROM and Bernie, can you time them, please? Great. Take it away, Alex.
Lee, no, thank you for asking me this. I honestly probably would be the best person to ask, not in a cocky way, but it's because I've got 8,800 LinkedIn connections. And quite honestly, I am actually trying to dwindle down that network so I actually know who's willing to connect. So I feel like one of the best ways to do that would be to petition them all and say, hey, do you like daylight savings or do you absolutely despise it? And I'm pretty sure I'll get a lot of quick responses and answers. But really, in short, I think the best way to do it is recognize that we know literally everybody in the world by 6 degrees of separation. And LinkedIn is one of the very best places to see that, because you don't just see who's mutual with you, you see if they're a second connection, a third, or a third plus. So I feel like if we all were in favor of getting rid of daylight savings, the best way to do it would be to, one, have everyone in our network be people that we actually know and aren't just padding the numbers like they're a bunch of middle schoolers on Facebook. But then the next thing we do is simply get out there and say yes or no. Do you want to participate in that? Put it on SurveyMonkey, get it out to Congress, and then yes, we should go and we should protest in the streets every day until we get our precious clocks in line. Because this is a corporate travesty, especially if you're doing international business, because it's like, oh my God, what is daylight savings in Australia? What is it in Dubai? Oh no, what is it in California? Oh, but don't even get me started on some of the places in Indiana. Oh man, some of them are on one time zone, but are in two at once. So that's my soapbox. I'll hand it back to you, Lee. That's how I do it.
Alex, I think you're just a perfect guy to help out with this. We'll strategize and figure out a way to make this happen by this time next year. Stop this lunacy. In the quotidian of how we normally do things, it is time for us to get a timer's report. Mr. Alex DAHLSTROM.
Yes, sir. So we had basically 4 wonderful table topics people. We had Greg at a minute 35. We had Bernie at 107. We had Cheryl at 134. And then I had myself at 154. So that's what I'm going to say it as. But yeah, everyone qualified. Great round, you guys. Back to.
Your time again, Alex?
What's that?
Your time again?
My time, 1 minute 54.
I had 152.
Whoa.
All right.
Bernie, 152, so we'll use his, but that still qualifies. So once again, following that normal quotidian, it is time to vote for best table topic between Greg, Bernie, Cheryl, and Alex. Cast your votes and get them over to Greg. He promises to be a accurate count, no matter if he is in this election. It is my pleasure now to turn control of this meeting to our general evaluator, Mr. Barriquette. Told ya.
Thank you, Lee. What a wonderful questions. Love to see different ideas. It's very interesting. Okay, let's go to our evaluation portion of the meeting. Our first evaluator evaluating Daniel's speech, a wonderful speech, by the way, will be Randy Riddle. Take it away, Randy.
Fellow Toastmasters, our wonderful guest, and most importantly, Daniel, your speech was the first one that I've seen you give here in Toastmasters, and it was, for lack of a better word, amazing. I noticed when you first came up here, I'm going to try and keep this chronological. When you first came up here, I noticed you assumed a neutral gestured stance. And as you went through, though, I noticed you punched out certain words with your gesture, and you wouldn't just come back to this like most people would when they have a neutral gesture. You would immediately flow into a new one, almost as if you were talking with your hands. Something else I've noticed that I don't think I've noticed in a lot of other people is you didn't just use your hands or stepping to the side, but you used your entire body throughout. For a specific example, at one point, I can't remember exactly which words you used, but you used not only hand gestures, but you flexed your voice to a higher tone and heightened yourself on the balls of your feet. to further accent the word that you were using to add punch to your speech. As you went through, you immediately hooked your audience by saying Lee's name and stepping closer to him, keeping eye contact. And as you went through the speech, you would look at certain people and step to them as you talked and moved your gestures to keep everyone engaged. Your speech was conducted with almost a smile all the way throughout, which opens you up, makes you seem more comfortable and more likable to whatever audience you're speaking to. Of course, everyone here already likes you, but for your keynote, which I believe this speech was for practice for, it would open up to the audience and make you more likable to them as well, draw them in even more. I think your energy is something that is definitely outstanding and is probably one of the top things that draws in your audience to you. It's your standout component of your personality. I noticed it the first day when you walked in the door, you're very high energy all the time, and it's great. And it draws everyone into everything that you say, almost as if they're hanging on by the seat of their pants to your speech and what's going to come next. I liked the example that you used from your childhood and applied it into the speech seamlessly. And most of all, just the way that you tied everything together. It didn't seem as if you were trying to mentally focus on one specific thing of the gestures, voice flexing, or anything like that, but all of it worked together almost as if it was just natural for you. So altogether, it was an amazing speech, and I can't wait to hear more. And with that, I will turn it back over to Mr. Barraquette, our general evaluator.
Thank you, Randy. Great evaluation. Our next evaluator who will be evaluating LeShane will be John Frey, right? Okay. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Barraquette. Appreciate that. LeShane, I enjoyed learning about you and your family. I can't imagine going through something like that, especially with the added stress of birthing a child, and then you add all the snow and getting stuck and all that. I can't imagine. I don't know how you kept your cool, but great energy throughout. I mean, that's nothing new to us. Your introduction, with your hand gestures and being able to use vocal variety through it, allowed us to communicate with you and to really lock in on what you were saying. Just run through some things. I think your clarity is always really great. You always speak really clear. You're always very easily understood. Your vocal variety and your eye contact and your clarity, I think, are some of your best assets. You use your eye contact to convey emotion throughout the speech. Physical gestures were a big part to help tell your story. I thought it was from start to finish. It was one of your best assets. Comfort level, never a problem. Just keep improving all the time. Your topic, I thought was good. I enjoyed it throughout. I didn't have a problem following you. It was something that, I was, intrigued by, just to learn more about you and learning, what's next. I went to the doctor the first time, had to go home. Okay, what was going to happen? It was kind of, it was suspenseful, more or less, but just some things to challenge yourself to look at next time is maybe move just a little bit around more than staying in just one spot. But your clarity and vocal variety and your eye contact I think are hands down some of your best assets for telling any type of speech. But that's about it on my end, and I'll turn it back over to you, Barraquette.
Okay, thank you, John. our third evaluator, evaluating John's very interesting speech, should say answers, but this is my first time. This is very interesting. And I think that who will be evaluating John? I think Lee, right? Okay. Lee Holiday, take it away, sir.
Before you start timing, I want to tell Randy Riddle how proud I am of his excellent evaluation he just gave. Superbly done, my friend. I am so proud of you. Great job. Now I got to step up and try to do something that comes close to being as good. So, okay, you can start now. Fellow Toastmasters, Mr. General Evaluator, and John Abercrombie. John had the wonderful task tonight of being able to answer 2 table topics questions and have an extra minute to answer each one of them over what we usually have for table topics. John's challenge tonight was to rise to the occasion of talking about a topic that he didn't know what the topic was going to be and work in an anecdote, not an antidote, an anecdote about that topic, which he did very well. He used humor tonight. He used lots of information that he pulls out of that vast storehouse in his brain. And he kept us entertained, as well as educated us a little bit on topics. John, you did a great job of just responding, spur of the moment, being very flexible to run with whatever you were given to run with. And that is incredible. But as Toastmasters, we expect that to be the quotidian of the day, right? Just, that's what we're supposed to do. Not many of us do it very well, and John did. He moved around the speaking area to give emphasis to what he was saying. He used gesture after gesture after gesture to bring emphasis to it. His speech, the diction that he uses, the phrasing that he uses, the pauses that he applies to help bring emphasis to what he wants us to get from what he is saying, made his points reside within us and resonate with us. We thoroughly enjoyed what you had to share with us tonight. And I think maybe everybody ought to have to do this speech project. You know what would be fun? To have a meeting where this project was the project everybody had to do in that meeting. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, that's an idea. We'll work on that one later. But John, you set the bar for us to achieve excellence in being able to speak on an impromptu basis on any subject that's thrown at you. And to you, we give homage. Thank you, John. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lee. At this time, Mr. Timer, can we get a timer's report? Alex.
Yes, sir. So Randy spoke for 3 minutes and 17 seconds. John Frey, 2 minutes, 18 seconds. And Lee was 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, now if you can send your votes for best evaluator. I think the vote goes to Greg, so he's also on Zoom. So we can send our votes for best evaluator. And while we're doing that, I will give my general evaluation. Oh, I forgot grammarian's report. Can we get our grammarian's report today for tonight? Thank you.
Absolutely, Barraquette. Today, Daniel Allison talked about the pain of failing and chasing validation. LaShane admitted this is an ugly baby. But to this day, I love this boy. And God created you to be different. I think that's powerful. John Abercrombie helped us walk a mile in someone else's moccasins. And told us that imagination is what creates our future. I think all in all, we've had a very good meeting. We did have a little bit of a case of the ums. We had 20 ums today. And we use quotidian 4 times, though I'm going to penalize Lee a little bit because it's an adjective, sir, not a noun. It is a quotidian way of doing things. It's not the quotidian way.
I was taking liberty, artistic license.
With that, I will return to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Vernon. Okay, now I'll give my evaluation for our meeting. I think we have started our meeting a little bit late, and I blame Haley for that, I think. We have a great meeting thanks to our Toastmaster of the day. It was a very smooth meeting with a smooth flow. And our speeches, what a wonderful speech, Daniel. I like the personal audience interaction. This is new. I don't think I've seen this before with all our speeches. This is something new to learn. I'm happy. I'm glad you came back. And I like the quote you used. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but difficult to read the label from the inside or somewhere there. I like that quote. I'm gonna put it on my my wall. And the other interesting idea is when we get comfortable on something, we have to get uncomfortable. And when we get comfortable there, we have to find something uncomfortable. What a great way to put that. Thank you. Thank you for that. LaShane, I love your storytelling as always, but this one is more catchy. I don't know if it's just me or you made my emotions go up and down. It was a really good storytelling with your gestures, vocal variety. It was just great. Your poses were to the point, I have to say. Great speech. Yeah. Our third speech, it's kind of a new pattern. Maybe this is the first time we got to experience with this pathway, but I liked it. As Lee suggested, maybe we can all do this in one way or the other in our projects. It would be a nice experience. A great speech, or I should say speeches or answers, Mr. Abercrombie. It was amazing how you kept the flow. Both of them are random questions, but you came up with a really elegant answers and you kept the flow. I didn't notice you looking at the time. Like it was nicely and properly timed. About table topics, what an interesting topic to choose, right? I think I remember six months ago, maybe in August, I remember this type of discussion. And it's always interesting. And you learn something new every time. So I'm glad to have this table topics today. because I got a chance to see both sides of the experience. Many of them don't like it, a few likes it, but still it gives a different perspective. Great questions. About our evaluations, Randy, wow, what a great job. I think Lee mentioned it or said it well. You have mentioned all the positives, or I should say most of them, because I'm not sure if I kept track to say all of them, but you have also mentioned examples of what you are giving feedback about. So great job. And good job, John Frey as well, evaluating Lucia. I know she's very difficult to find suggestions to give to. So great evaluation. Lee Holiday, as always, wonderful evaluation. You have explained all the good points. Also, of course, I understand it's difficult to get something to suggest or something to work on, right? But it would have been great to hear those, because I don't think the comments are for Mr. Abercrombie. The comments are for us, especially for me and Mike, those in my generation, I should say. Yeah, so like that. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much, Barakat. We've had a great, excuse me, we've had such a great meeting tonight. And although we may not agree on the daylight savings time, you know, it is what it is. And kudos to all of those in IT that are making, like, some things, yes, we have to readjust our clocks, maybe in the house and on the refrigerator and the microwave. However, a lot of, like, our phones, our iPads, our computers, it's done automatically. So kudos and thank you to the IT people that do all that. When I was thinking about the theme of light, that I did think of daylight savings time, but there's also another side of that. There's another concept of light, and that is the light that's within us. As I mentioned before, sometimes when we're really struggling and we're having some, you know, just a hard time, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes I feel like that because I live semester to semester. That's how my life is organized. And like right now, I am not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for this semester. I've had some very challenging students. And I'd just like to quickly mention that one of those students was on my last nerve. She didn't show up for her class the last 3 weeks. We meet 3 times a week. She did not email me. She did not contact me in any way. She missed an exam, another assignment. And when she emailed me and just said, you know, I'm having a rough time, can I make all this up? And I was honestly so frustrated and angry that I couldn't respond because I didn't know how to. Well, she showed up today, and making a long story short, I asked her to stay after class, and I asked her, you know, just kind of what's going on. She just broke out into tears, just sobbing. She just has, she had an altercation with her sister. Her sister physically attacked her. She broke her arm. Her grandpa is in the process of passing away. He's had COVID. He's had some other issues. She had a friend that recently passed away. And by just listening, I said, like what Shane said, just stepping back and listening to her, and tears were just dripping down her face. I felt so bad for her. It kind of reminded me of, like, I need to be the light here. I need to give her hope and encouragement. So I'm just to end the meeting, if you're noticing someone that is struggling, be the light for them. A couple of things that I I researched was, don't judge others. That was wrong on my part to be so angry and frustrated with her. I should have contacted her sooner so I could reach out to her and help her. Avoid contention, respect the opinions and beliefs of others, even about daylight savings time. We need to all, be nice about it. To listen, serve will help. We can be a light by serving others. Love all people, and lastly, pray. So with that said, I know that we have the one guest, Haley. If you have any comments for us about our meeting, we'd love to hear from you. If you could even just stand where you are, or we'd love to have you come to the podium if you feel comfortable doing that.
Well, I enjoyed the meeting and I'm getting more comfortable with everybody. I may even try to do a table of topics for me. But yeah, it was good and I enjoyed being here. That's all.
Again, thank you so much, Haley. I completely understand. I said I teach public speaking, so I have students that are it said scared, nervous to death, and it'll come to you. It just takes time. So we really appreciate you coming and supporting Randy and just being part of the group. So again, if I could have the vote counter, Greg Allen, if you could please come up, and I'll turn the control of the meeting to you and tell us who our winners are this evening.
Absolutely, I'd be more than happy to. Well, we have a couple of ribbons, but not all of them. So our best table topics was Alex DAHLSTROM. Alex, we'll save this for you.
I'll be there next week in person.
Awesome, that'd be great if you are. No question that our best evaluator tonight was Mr. Randy Riddle. Don't have any, okay, all right, well, I apologize for that. And our best speaker tonight is Mr. Daniel Allison. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Again, great job, everyone. And I believe that, I don't know if you want Bernie to show the screen, but I know that Lee is wanting to get a photograph with everyone that is there. Are there any other announcements? I know this Saturday, right, is the meeting, Greg? Or I apologize, the competition?
Yes, ma'am, 9 o'clock.
Okay. And I'll turn control over to Lee since you're there.
So while Bernie is bringing up the sign-up sheet for the next 3 weeks, Greg, can we provide a Zoom link? I think it actually might have been an email I got from
Absolutely.
our division.
I'll send it out there.
Okay, great. So club members, come support your club members that are in the contest by being there and being visible support for them to take it to the division level. LaShane. Well, I know one person who's going to be a competition for you. So we'll see. Come do it. Come do it. Our sign-up sheet for the next 3 weeks. If you look at next week, Greg Allen will be our Toastmaster of the day, and Bernie Holiday will be our general evaluator. Our table topics master will be Alex DAHLSTROM. Our speakers will be John Frey, John McKinney, and LaShane Goins again. You up for that? Okay. I'm not sure how, I know how that happened. We had some things shuffling around at the last minute. That's okay. Our evaluators will be Daniel Allison, Paul Camp, we'll have to see if he'll be here, and somebody named Lee Holiday, we'll have to make sure he's here. So let me just share a couple things before I sit down as your Vice President of Education. One of the things that we are endeavoring to do when we're in Toastmasters is not only improving our communication skills, getting up here and our verbal communication skills and doing this, but it's our leadership skills. And leadership is sometimes measured by the little things we do, not the big things. If any of you follow me on Facebook, you'll see a post I put on there actually just a little while ago, earlier this evening, about it's the little things that make the big difference. And some of the little things that we can do to help make our Toastmasters Club even more excellent is make sure that we confirm our meeting roles early in the week. That means like Tuesday or Wednesday or tonight, if you haven't already, confirm your meeting roles on the online agenda so we know you're going to be here. Speakers, if you have speeches, get your introductions and your titles in by Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. It's called just good manners to share that information so the Toastmasters are pulling out their hair wondering what the speakers are going to be speaking about. I want to encourage all of us to plan for the meetings. Look ahead at what your meeting roles are going to be in the next 1 to 2 to 3 weeks and plan for it. It's not just showing up here and doing that role. Part of leadership is planning. And it may not seem like much, but getting the theme of the meeting on the online agenda ahead of time so the table topics master can plan their table topics questions, getting the word of the day and that definition on there, which many times the word master will have to work with the Toastmaster of the day who has edit rights on the agenda to get that on there, but to get that on there so that when it comes time to print, we don't have to have it handwritten, but kudos to whoever did the handwriting. Thank you, Haley, to get that information on there. So that when we walk into a meeting, everybody who's here, whether you're the Toastmaster or the grammarian, everybody who's here knows what's going to be happening in that meeting and is looking forward to it with great anticipation. This is not a quotidian event. It should be an exceptional event every week. Did I use it right that time, Bernie? Thank you. See, I am educable. I am educable.
You got kidneys.
I got kidneys too. We'll tell you that joke one of these days if you don't already know it. But I look forward to us just taking our club to higher heights. And with that said, Madam Toastmaster, would you like to adjourn the meeting? Then we'll bring everybody up front.
Yes, I said again, thank you for a wonderful evening. And I will adjourn the meeting. And again, for those of you that are there in person, I know that Lee wants to get a photograph of all of you. So good luck to all of you, and I'll see you next week. So have a good week, everyone.
See you guys next week. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.